Hey guys, Saint Severus here, and I'm here to talk all about my experience watching Days of Sodom, a Crow fan film. Check out this ticket stub, everyone. It's real nice quality, and that's kind of the recurring theme with this film, is how good the quality is for a fan film. And you know, when you hear about fan films, you typically think, oh, it's gonna be really bad quality, it's gonna be shitty acting, it's going to just not be a real movie, so to speak, right? But I'm here to tell you that DOS is like the total opposite of that, and I'm here to talk all about it. First and foremost, I want to say that this film, Days of Sodom, is a breath of fresh air. Not just for fans of The Crow, but for fans of movies in general. Like, I was genuinely floored with how awesome this film is. For a while now, I have been like uninterested in comic book films, primarily because the films, they just lack so much soul. You can tell there's not very much motivation, it's an obvious cash grab. But again, I don't feel that way with Days of Sodom. Days of Sodom revives this interest that I used to have in films, and I really think it has a lot to do with just how much attention and care was put into this film. This film tells a unique and original story that's inspired, obviously, by the original 1994 Crow film, but also by the graphic novels by James O'Barr. This film has a lot to offer, from the superb practical effects, the awesome cast, the seamless pacing. It's all tied together by compelling dialogue and just such a reverence for this fan base and for the source material. And keep in mind, this film's budget is only $120,000. That is considered pennies on the dollar compared to the typical Hollywood production. And yet, when you're watching this film, you feel like you're watching something that was made within millions of dollars. And it goes to show that passion can really make the biggest difference in the world for a film. So the story of this film goes as follows. Thorn Gray is a police detective who is resurrected by unknown forces, but he's only got one thing on his mind, and that is pure, unadulterated revenge. He is going to set the wrongs right after his wife is killed by the very same people that he used to work with and share a friendship with. One of the most impressive parts of this film, like I mentioned before, is the pacing. The movie is 2.5 hours long, but I did not once ever feel like I wanted the movie to end, which is such a crazy thing to say, because I have sat through movies that are shorter and I've wanted it to end a lot quicker. The first half of this film really goes by fast. I really appreciate that there's not so much fluff. You know, there's a lot of movies that are there and they try to really explain every single thing. You know, like, there's build up to moments that shouldn't really even matter with other films, but this film does a great job of just setting up the next task that Thorn Gray is gonna have. I mean, if you're one of those people that needs to see the Crow waking up in the morning, taking his morning shit, eating breakfast, driving to the next villain he has to kill, I mean, this movie's just not for you. I'm sorry. You would otherwise be sitting through hours of film, and at that point, it's like, what the hell are you complaining about? The way this film keeps your attention is through shocking moments. Some of the coolest kill scenes I've ever seen, in recent memory, at least. One of my favorite scenes in this film is right in the beginning, where Thorn Gray comes in, and all I gotta say is, without giving too much away, one of the coolest, grittiest, most gnarly kill scenes I've ever seen, and it's a testament to how good the practical effects are. And, you know, the one thing that I kept thinking throughout this film is, this is filmed on a budget of $120,000. How the hell is the quality this damn good? I normally don't even react to things that I see on screen, but this film made me react physically several times. I mean, that's just how gritty this film gets. The acting in this film, very good. I am genuinely surprised again that this is a fan film because everything seems to be on par with what I would expect from a movie that's got millions of dollars poured into it. Vernon Wells is one of the highlights of this film. He plays the main antagonist, the mayor, and elite level actor is only gonna do elite level acting, folks. I love how immersed I felt watching this film, and Vernon Wells was a huge part of that. He is really good at suspending your disbelief. I mean, I genuinely felt anger and hatred towards his character. But the guy is such a sweetheart in real life, and he's a great conversation, so kudos to Vernon. Cody Falk, also, like, the most surprising part of this film is his performance as the Crow. You know, I'm not going to talk too much about the previous Crow films. That's not what we're here to talk about, but you know exactly what I'm thinking, so just imagine that. Thorn Grey is a great character. And when we see Thorn Grey as the Crow, you know, there is just so much to be said about how much that character was able to tell us without even talking so much. The dialogue is just enough from the Crow in this film, but a lot of the talking is done through the physicality and through the body language of the Crow. So shout out to Cody Falk for making this version of the Crow believable and just executing it very well. Kudos to you, my friend. Paula Black plays Sarah, who's actually the same girl from the original Crow film, and it's very impressive that we got a character that existed in the original Crow film, and we got a unique take on the same character, who also plays a crucial part to the progression of the story. So, all in all, great performance by Paula Black, and great use of a character that we all know and love. Another strong presence in this film is Nicole Yang as Zaya. She, if I had to describe her character, she's like a dark, playful, twisted assistant to the mayor. And every moment she has on screen, it's just a blast. She's very fun to watch. Rob Francisi, who's also known as real-life Peter Griffin, also very entertaining to watch in this film. He plays Carl Musk, and he adds a comedic layer to an otherwise dark and tragic world. It's just very nice to have a presence like that in a film like this. To my surprise, Maven Huffman, who plays Dante, puts on a solid performance. I mean, I almost expected him to start every line with, "Hey guys, Maven here." But no, he's truly just a mean and detestable character in this film. Robert Mukes, who plays Virgil, he also brings a bit of a subtle comedic tone with his presence, but he ultimately draws you back in with an emotional performance towards the end of his presence in this film. Mickie James, who plays investigative journalist Tara Dawson, also does a great job in this film, and she actually has one of the biggest tasks in this film. When you're the very first person people see, you have the job of setting the tone, and I think she does that very well. Kudos to Mickie James. A huge feat to note with this film is the practicality. Taking the budget into account, you gotta understand there is very little room to be ambitious and also very little room to mess up. And I think this film does great and really pushes the limits that it has. All the places you see in this film, 100% real locations. Not a single set was built for this film. The locations themselves even have a lot of character, and I'm really impressed, again, with just how much this film does with what it was given. Truly impressive. It's also nice to see a setting other than a fictionalized version of Chicago or New York or LA for a film like this. Baltimore really is a very gritty location to use for a film like Days of Sodom. If I had to categorize DOS into a genre, it's a horror-coded noir thriller. It's not very action-packed. I would say the film focuses more on storytelling, world building, and pacing. So there's no moment in the film where you get to just like shut your brain off and watch like crazy action going on. You truly do have to lock in and watch the film and just be immersed in that fictionalized world. My critiques with this film are primarily related to the technical aspects of this film. There are moments where I am thrown off by the CGI, particularly that the crow they CGI, inserted into the film. Again, it all comes back to the budget. I'm sure if we all threw a pretty penny at Days of Sodom, considering this film was crowdfunded completely, I'm sure we could have had a better looking bird. If you really care about things like that, yeah, this is gonna grind your gears. I'm sorry. But I will say there's also moments in the film where, like, it does feel like a fan film. The budget really shows. There's some moments where I feel like the characters in the film are like talking way too loud for the moment. So that could just be like an audio mixing thing that could be fixed, I don't know, before the film comes out, hopefully. There's moments where the crow is talking and I cannot make out a single thing being said. I wish there were subtitles in that case. I mean, I don't know. Audio mixing probably just needs work in this film. But overall, like, nothing noteworthy to knock. I think a lot of what this film does it within its means. It's, I think, for what it's worth, a movie that should have been worse on paper, but I don't find myself hating it because of the technical problems that came with it. As I conclude here, I just want to say that this film really does stand well on its own. It's not another Eric Draven story. It's not trying to imitate any other Crow film. It's just a die-hard Crow fan's love letter to the franchise. And this film does a phenomenal job of paying respect to the source material and to the creators of The Crow. The execution of this film is well done because of the passion behind this film. So, again, huge shout out to the cast, the crew, and all the people involved with the making of this film. And I know some people out there, they won't give this film the credit that it deserves. I mean, it's just inevitable, right? With such a revered character and franchise, you can't butter everybody's buns. But I think this film, again, it does everything so well, and it can only be done when you love The Crow, when you love the franchise and the story and what it stands for. I still feel like it's worth watching this movie. If you're not a fan of The Crow, just watch it and see what can be made in such a limited capacity. It's very impressive. Considering this film was made in one of the most limited capacities, it truly stands up to a lot of different films, and it really gives them a run for their money. There's clearly a ton of thought and care put into this film. I wish I could talk all about it, but I want you to watch this film for yourself. Days of Sodom is slated to be released on November 28th on the Wet Paint Pictures channel on YouTube. What I will say is, whether you love The Crow or whether you love movies, Days of Sodom truly is something to witness. I think that it is, again, so impressive. Quality's through the roof. And it won't take long for you to be impressed by this film when you watch it on its release. If I had to give this film a rating, it would be an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this video and listening to my thoughts and my perspective regarding this film. I hope you enjoy it just as much as I did.